Good afternoon. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, May 14th, 2 o'clock meeting. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
I do. Are there any people who are going to speak who are not familiar with the way we conduct the hearings? No one? Okay. We have one. So the way we'll proceed is as follows. First, we will call for any adjournments. If there are any requests for adjournments, those cases will be taken first. Then, once we finish with that, we'll get into the hearings. The hearings are conducted as follows. There's always an applicant, obviously. There must be, otherwise you wouldn't be here. The applicant is given the opportunity to lay out their case, and then if there are any people who are here objecting to the application, they will be given a full and fair opportunity to voice their objections. We will end the hearing by way of having the applicant's representative sum up, all right? In terms of the evidence that we take almost anything. We're not burdened by the strict rules of law. It's an administrative body. It's not a court of law. Consequently, anything within reason will be accepted by the board as evidence, okay? If you're coming up in opposition and someone speaks before you in opposition and they say X, Y, and Z, you're free to say, I believe, I agree totally with the person who expressed X, Y, and Z, and they objected before me, all right? You can do it summarily. Once we close the hearing, there will be no more evidence admitted. The hearing is over, case is done, okay? The hearings are, they're videotaped, they're archived so that you can relate to them later if you so desire. We have a court reporter. All of the testimony is taken down, right? Any questions? Okay. Patrick?
Mr. Chairman, we have an application for an adjournment, case 24725 East Meadow, Jewish Heritage Center of Queens and Long Island, also known as 1440 Prospect Avenue. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good afternoon. We have some people here who are signed. Is that the wrong case? Is there anybody here in opposition to this case? All right. The request is for what date, Mr. Podesta? July 2nd. That's great.
What time?
2 p.m.
If I may,
Is
Mr.
that
Chairman.
available, Patrick?
That is available, Mr. Chairman.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Patrick, is the reason for the Nassau County Planning Commission held in abeyance because of this traffic study? What are they requesting?
I can answer that if you'd like.
Sure.
It is. I spoke with Marty Kentz, who coordinates the zoning review by the planning commission. I advised him that we were getting a traffic study and we were getting it over to them, and I suggested that they issue the resolution that they did, saying that they wanted a complete package, which will include our traffic study.
Very well.
Okay.
And you'll
Mr.
supply
Vanessa?
that to them?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Vanessa, is there anyone interested in this case that you know of?
Yes, they talked to several neighbors who have called. I know the board personnel have heard from neighbors. Our intention is, once we have the new date, we're going to send out letters to the people we noticed, advise them of the new date, and advise them of the meeting that we're going to schedule. Get together, describe the activities that will take place there, and try to resolve.
So will you be able to get them the traffic study? I know you can't always when there's a bunch of people everywhere, but
Well, if anybody asks for it, we can provide the
Yeah,
Right.
That, it'll be online. Well, they typically tell people that they
Oh,
can just
okay.
go on the portal and take a look.
good enough. Will you just state to everyone there is a traffic study and it's online? It's hard when there's not an attorney on the other side, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have one more application for adjournment, case 13425, West Hempstead, 255 Hempstead Incorporated, also known as 255 Hempstead Avenue. Mr. Chairman, I spoke with the applicant's representative. He did have a death in the family and is unable to attend, but we discussed June 25th at 2 p.m.
Is there anyone else here on that case?
Come up.
You're gonna have to use the microphone, and you're gonna have to give
Have
your
to-
name and address, and
And you'll be sworn in. No, well, you don't have to be sworn in because, no. Go ahead. Why don't you,
microphone, no,
microphone, please.
Abraham Mayer, 120 Maplewood Street, West Hempstead, New York.
keep it close. It's actually harder to hear than you think.
For some people,
I'm sorry,
for some people.
for,
It's harder to hear than you think for some people.
understood.
For others with good hearing, we don't have a problem with that, but go right ahead.
I'm actually here in opposition.
Okay,
I will be blunt. I will point out that this is an adjourned hearing, and I understand the death in the family. As an attorney, I understand that an application is always necessary. I also know that applicant was to have posted the new hearing date, and they haven't.
They
And
don't have,
say what?
they don't have to?
no, they don't have it yet. We're just making that date now.
No, today's hearing date was never posted. The original hearing date was back in March,
How'd you get it?
because I was here back in March when it was adjourned the first time.
Oh, when it gets adjourned, the date, did they change
We-
the time? When it gets-
Yeah.
But they don't send out new notices.
So I understand that, so I can affirm that the sign has yet to be changed. It's still on the property with the March date.
So just further on that, they were originally coming in today for an adjournment regardless because they weren't able to obtain their traffic study. That was the original
So they
reason.
never posted, they still should
They
have
should,
posted
they
it.
should
Should have
have.
posted.
Yes,
Okay,
but we will speak with the applicant and make sure that's updated.
all right. Okay,
So is June 25th at 2 PM okay with you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
now wait, he's not gonna get new notice in the mail, nor is anyone, but the sign will.
Sign will be changed.
So if there's anyone else you know who also wants to come to the hearing, let them know.
Let
this
them
date.
know.
They're not gonna get mailing.
Thank you. Any other requests for adjournment?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have any other requests.
Okay, let's go with the calendar.
Okay. First, we have cases 23925 through 24025, Lido Beach, David Adelsberg. Variance, rear yard, maintain deck attached to dwelling, install pool and pool equipment not permitted in side yard, install 6-foot-high fence larger than pool installation area and forward of the dwelling which may substantially obstruct line of sight, also known as 7 Biarritz Street.
Spirits,
It's right down the street from you, right?
yes.
You looked at this?
Lisa Kushia with Permits R Us, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board.
Good afternoon.
I am here representing Mr. Adelsberg, who would like to obtain a permit for a pool enclosure, and deck. The proposed deck will have a rear yard setback of 10.8 feet, where 15 feet is required. I would like to point out that the deck will be keeping in line with the existing dwelling, which also holds a 10.8-foot setback. The proposed pool and equipment is proposed in the side yard, as this property does not have a rear yard like most of the homes in this area.
Well, it has a 10-foot rear yard.
Yeah. The proposed fence forward of the dwelling will be replacing a pre-existing fence that has been there prior to my clients purchasing the home. This fence will not cause any line of sight issues, as the nearest driveway to the neighbor is approximately 80 feet away. As I stated earlier, pools in the side yard with fences forward of the dwelling is common in this area, and variances have been granted before. One was my client's next door neighbor at 11 variance, and one 3 blocks away on Woodhale Street. Mr. Adelsberg respectfully requests your approval.
Were you at the property?
Yes,
There, Google Earth shows that there is an existing swimming pool there.
there was an above-ground pool, but it has been, they filed a permit to demo, and it is gone. There's nothing there now. It's just dirt.
Was that swimming pool constructed with a permit?
I'll tell you in a second. I believe, but let me
Got a
look.
permit to remove it.
It's removed, yeah.
Two people are opposed, the McGowans.
No, all I have is the permit to remove the above-ground pool, 24-8236, but I don't see an old permit for an actual above-ground pool.
There's a permit to remove it.
They
There's
did.
an open permit to remove it, which I assume will be
Will be
closed out.
closed out, yes.
That's your case?
Yes.
We have two people who signed in opposition, the McGowans.
Yes.
Are they here? Come up.
Ms. Cuccia,
Yes.
the old fence has been removed?
No, the pre-existing fence is still on the property. It hasn't been removed.
Is it going to be in the same place that it says proposed fence?
Yes.
The fence that's there, is that 6 foot tall?
It's about 5 feet.
And there are other items on on the site plan that are not before us, right?
Yes, correct.
Let's hear from these folks.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. McGowan.
Name
Yeah,
and address.
wait a minute. Patrick? Okay.
And
Name and
be
address,
very close to the microphone.
name and address for the
Good
record.
afternoon, my name is Vincent McGowan, my address, 26
He's on
Royette Street,
Royette.
with the contiguous property to the 11 Biarritz, 7 Biarritz, excuse me. We're here because we appreciate the work that's going to go into that building. I was afraid it was going to be a ghost building at one point because it had...
You're afraid it was gonna be what?
It was
Ghost
gonna be a
building.
ghost building because it had been through a number of different owners. So we're glad to see that there's an owner who's going to fix up the building. Our concern is, we appreciate them putting a pool in and we encourage it. Our concern with the pool is that that there's no light pollution, meaning that it doesn't shine into our bedrooms, which are in the back of the house, and there's no sound pollution because they don't control the speakers for the inevitable that they will have music on the deck. All of which we
Hold on,
encourage.
hold on.
Do they plan
Ms.
on?
Cuccia, what about the light and sound?
Okay, I'm not sure. This is a new owner. They had purchased the home in '24.
Do they plan to live there?
Yes. I'm not sure about the light and the sound. I mean, I would assume that they're going to put some type of outdoor lighting, but I had spoken to the neighbors a few minutes ago before the hearing, and I said I can speak to my client about what type of lighting that they're going to put in and about the neighbors' concerns about noise pollution. That's fine.
Or normally I would ask if your clients would agree to a condition, but since you're not sure, I guess the board will just deliberate on what conditions we might want to we might wish to impose in the event we look favorably on the application. Go ahead, sir.
All right, on the issue of the pool equipment, we're asking that the equipment not be close to our property. It's a side yard, and we're appreciating a side yard pool, and we're not disputing it, but we'd like the pool equipment to be as far to the west as it can be for us.
Okay, I'm gonna show you, here's one. Mr. Chia, the pool equipment noted on the site plan, that's, like, there's multiple pieces to pool equipment, but they're all there, right?
Yes, correct. And
Great.
they are towards the front of the dwelling.
That's where they're proposing it.
And that would be fine with us if it's allowed to be put there.
In the event that the gallons can hear, the equipment when your client agreed to a condition, that they then would somehow baffle it with.
To enclose it with something,
In the
that's
event
fine.
they let you know that they can hear it.
Sure.
And the last item that we have is that we would request that the deck be at ground level. We don't want, people looking into our yard. We have a lot of grandchildren that come and stay with us. And they're all girls. They like their privacy.
How high off grade is it proposed? I don't have, oh, here they are.
It's about 3 steps up, so it's, I guess, roughly 30, 36 inches high. You come out the back door, and there's a slight step down, and then that's the level. It's about 30 to 36 inches. I don't have that page either of the
Wait,
actual building.
how high is, why don't we have the elevation of the deck?
Never do.
How high is the rear fence? Is it 6 feet?
Yes, the fence will be 6 feet.
Are there any plantings back there?
As of now, no. A lot of it has just been ripped up. It's just a lot of dirt in the backyard. Side yard,
Is your
backyard.
client planning to plant any, like, hedging back there?
I'm not sure about what he's planning to plant, but they can have that discussion too. He's not unreasonable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all we have. I just want to thank the board for convening and listening to this. The Adelbergs did call us when they bought the building, so I think we have a good relationship. It was just, when it comes down to the details, before we put the shovel in the ground, I wanted to make our position known, so I appreciate your concern and the follow-up that the board brings to this.
Thank you for coming in.
My wife would like to say something.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Do your name and
Name and
address.
name and address for the record. Yep. I thought he swore in.
Hi,
Hello? Good
my
afternoon.
name is Brenda McGowan. The address is 26 Rayette Street, Lido Beach, New York, 11561. We bought the house back in '78, so we've been there.
Speak a little louder.
We purchased the home back in 1978, so we've been there a long time. I have no problem with the pool. I think it's great. I don't have problem with them playing music or lights as long as it faces towards their property, not out towards ours, especially because we have the bedrooms there. Also, the one thing that I was concerned about, and we've been concerned about for a long time, was how high the deck is, because if you're putting up a 6-foot fence and the deck is 3 feet high, and the person's 6 feet, then they can actually look over into your property. And I do have grandchildren who shower back there when they come back from the beach, and I have 9 of them, and 6 of them are girls, and they like their privacy. And of course, and I want them to have their privacy, and especially as they get older and up into the teen years, it's important that people can't see into that
Right.
space. So maybe the trees or something like that would be a great idea.
Lucky
or
to
is-
have 9 grandkids. And can we put a hedge back there?
Yes, I'll speak to Mr. Adelsberg.
Thank you.
And that's my big concern.
How
Because
tall,
otherwise, they won't get the sand off them, they won't take showers.
how
Go
tall is the fence going to be that will face their property?
6
On
foot.
around the back, it's all 6 feet.
6
He's
feet.
proposing to do a 6-foot PVC.
Not on top of a 3-foot platform or deck?
No.
Okay.
I personally don't mind a higher fence. I have no problem with it. If the town wants to okay that, that's fine with me. Just so that my grandchildren can have some privacy back
Yes.
there.
Understood.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
She said that to me, not
Anything else?
Anything else? Would you like to sum up?
No, that's
No?
it. Just my client is looking forward to beautifying the property and would just like to be approved. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? If not,
The existing fence on Baritz, is there a permit for that? The one that's right against, I'm looking at a picture of it, it's right up against the street almost, the sidewalk,
Katura,
forward of the house. Does that fence have a permit?
I don't see anything that was applied for by the previous owner.
But you see what I'm talking
The
about?
fence it looks like it's right up to the property line.
Have you been there? Have you
Yes.
been, so is the fence there that I'm looking at?
Yes, the fence is still there.
And is there a permit for it?
No.
So in other words, that fence was built without a permit that's there now?
As far as I know from the paperwork, the past paperwork, there is no fence, no permit that was filed for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Ms. Kachia, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered, as will you folks who've signed in on the case.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
Next, we have cases 24125 through 24325, Wantaw, William H. James, special exception to maintain shed exceeding horizontal maximum and with more than required side and rear yard setbacks, remove, replace a 4-foot-high fence located in clear side triangle, maintain 4-foot-high fence located in clear side triangle at owner's driveway, also known as 1051 Wantaw Avenue.
William James, 1051 Wantaw Avenue, Wantaw, New York, 11793.
Richard Bronchick, Bronchick, for JL Drafting, 707 Route 110 in Farmingdale. Start. Good afternoon. This is a corner property. We are seeking variances for the shed and portions of the fencing. Regarding the fence, there is currently a 4-foot chain link fence on most of the property line around the property. The corner, now this includes the corner of Wantaw Avenue and Leanne Terrace. At that point, we have a building permit to replace an old and rusting chain link fence with a PVC, with a white 4-foot PVC picket fence.
Wait, you already have a permit for that?
No, we applied for it. That's why we're here.
Okay, I thought you said we have a permit.
I'm sorry, if I did, I misspoke. We applied for a building permit to replace the existing chain link fence with a 4-foot PVC picket fence. Yes. It is a picket fence, but it's made with plastic. That's all I meant to, I'm sorry. That's all I meant to distinguish. Understood. Correct. show you what we're talking about? Yes. Oh. It,
The fence will run from the northern side of the driveway, the north driveway, to Leanne Terrace, which is the side street, and will run the length of Leanne Terrace to the east. A very large property, yes. I do.
Which driveway, let's start with,
The northern driveway, the north side of the northern driveway,
okay.
where the fence begins.
So you
That's where the
propose to swap the chain link fence from that edge of that driveway?
Yes, the chain link fence runs from there
Up to the
to
corner.
the corner of Leanne Terrace, and then from Leanne Terrace to the east side of my property. That is the part that I want removed and replaced with a vinyl fence. I'm replacing the chain link fence. It's rusting.
No, no. In other words, the rest of it,
No.
Okay, I believe you are correct. So that's, what he just first described is the only portions of the chain link fence that he is proposing to replace.
Okay, so what's happening with the chain link fence that he
It-
says is rusted?
In the
That
rear,
runs from Leanne, she can only take one of Leanne Terrace down the eastern property line toward the house.
that's remaining.
Remaining chain link,
Yes.
is that how you see it too?
That's correct. It's adjoining the neighbor's vinyl fence, so it's not really seen.
So are you gonna take it out?
I'm going to leave it in.
Is the neighbor's vinyl fence solid?
It's remaining. It's just
No, is
It's-
it?
it's
thicket?
solid.
It's solid.
it's a solid vinyl fence.
Okay. How
on the
tall is
neighbor's
it?
property.
How tall is it? Approximately, how
6 feet.
tall?
6 foot vinyl fence.
6-foot vinyl fence, so that your fence, if one was looking from your yard, you couldn't see past their vinyl fence anyway. Is that right? So it's not
Correct.
going to interfere with anybody's line of sight.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Okay, now the portion of the fence that we didn't just discuss, which runs from the northern driveway southerly to the end of the property, which puts it running along Wantagh Avenue.
There is no fence.
There's no fence
Oh, it looks
on the
like the same
southernmost part
dot
of the
dash.
property.
Let me look at the picture. Yeah. Okay, so there's no fence there.
Correct.
Good. Now what about, let me just, this says, is there a fence running along the southern property line?
There's a fence on the southernmost part of the property running east to west.
All the way to Wantagh Avenue?
Correct.
And you know the Caruso residence,
I believe it's a Russo residence.
where's their driveway?
Their driveway, I believe, is on
Who's got it
the
on
southern
Google
part
Earth?
of Leanne Terrace. It's a wraparound road.
Do they enter from Leanne?
Their driveway is on Leanne Terrace, but not the northern one, the southern Leanne Terrace.
But I mean, do they pull in off Wantagh or off Leanne?
Leanne.
Okay. So there's no fence at all along, so are you proposing to change any portion of the fence along your southern property line?
No,
That's to remain chain link?
correct.
And you have a permit for all the chain link fencing?
Never made. Done prior to whatever.
So have you applied for a permit for the chain link fence along your southern property line?
Didn't occur to me, if you want to be honest.
Wait, maintain 4-foot high fence located in clear side triangle at owner's driveway. Oh, at your other driveway, that's what it is.
The fence that is on top of the retaining wall,
Where's that?
that's a chain link now. That's remove and replace with the PVC fence, correct?
That the only place you have the retaining wall on that section? You want to put picket?
A vinyl picket fence, yes, scallop picket fence.
And that's the only, wait, scallop is the highest part 4 or the lowest part 4?
The highest part is 4.
Okay, and that little retaining wall, that does not exist on the rest of your property line running down Wantagh Avenue?
It only runs from the northern part of the north driveway to the corner of Leanne Terrace. And there's no retaining wall along Leanne Terrace.
But what about, so, again, south of your northern driveway, there's no retaining wall?
There's no retaining wall and there's no fence.
And there's no retaining wall running along your southern property line, east to west?
No.
I have a question that is, what businesses run out of that house?
I'm sorry, sir?
What is the business that is run out of that
No
house?
business.
There's always cars, there's always people going in and out of the house?
There used to be.
Okay.
As of 2 years ago.
Okay.
What was that business?
It was a mental health counseling center.
And did you own it then?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's no longer there.
Absolutely. I moved it to
Becky.
another location.
We have the remove and replace for the 4-foot picket. It doesn't say on top of a retaining wall.
So then it's greater than 4
How
feet.
tall is it? How tall is the retaining wall under that proposed picket fence?
It varies. At the northern part of the northern driveway, it's approximately 6 inches above the sidewalk. It rises slowly up to a total of 18 inches, and then it descends again towards Leanne Terrace to approximately 6 inches.
So really what's before us isn't a 4-foot fence.
Technically, if you want to get technical, the fence is inside the retaining wall, so if you go by the height and the grade, it's actually 12 of the ground. It's not going to take any of the part because
What is that?
a 4-foot fence.
Okay, so lucky we have one of our most established plans examiner here. And because I assumed your fence was on top of the retaining wall, which we see all the time, Ms. First tells us that the retaining wall is not on the fence is not on the retaining wall, so that the maximum height your proposed picket fence achieves is still the 4, not something higher.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
You're proposing to put it not on the retaining wall, right?
I was proposing to put it on the retaining wall
Oh, okay,
and follow the slope of the retaining wall.
okay, because the old one's not, right?
No, it's not. It's a few inches in. But the property is even with the retaining wall, minus maybe an inch, something like that.
Wait, say that your property is even with the retaining wall?
It's about an inch below the retaining wall.
Measured from the grade, adjoining grade. So that 4-foot fence on the north side on top of an 18-inch retaining wall,
6 to
Correct.
18, but
at the highest point, it's 18-inch retaining wall, correct?
Correct.
There's going to be a 4-foot fence on top of that.
Correct.
Yes, can I
So-
point something out?
Sure.
The retaining wall is because the property is higher than the street level. In other words, the retaining wall is not something above the grade of the property. That's the grade of the property. And it's, did I say that clearly or not?
No, I've lived there for 49 years in the W section, which is half a mile away. I'm extremely familiar with this.
Okay.
That's why I knew there was a business there, et cetera. But I just want to make it right. I'm not opposing your fence, but I think your fence is going to be, portions of it are going to be 4 feet on top of an 18-inch retaining wall, making it,
Yes, from the sidewalk, yes, but from the
Yes.
property, it's still only gonna be 4 feet.
on your side of the
Right.
property. But it's measured from the adjoining grade. So how high is it then, Becky? That's,
66 inches.
so you're seeking actually a 66-inch fence. Now,
See, because if we granted you what you proposed, right, Joe? Then when they go out to inspect it, they're gonna measure it and it's gonna be exceeding the grant. You see, because they're gonna go out and say, did he put up a 4-foot fence? And if it's on top of the wall, it's more than that, so we have to actually ferret out what it is you're proposing.
So if I put it on the property and not on the retaining wall, it's not an issue
No, I'm
anymore?
not saying that, we just have to know exactly what you're proposing.
it will be an issue because it's the adjoining grade on the outside. Number one. Number two, do you happen to have a survey of the property? Because that may not necessarily be, that retaining wall may not necessarily be on your property line.
Yeah, we do have a survey.
Sometimes it's off the sidewalk. This looks like it might be on the town right-of-way.
They wanna take a look at it, they will.
Can I ask you while they're getting the survey? You had a business there before, were you the one running the business? Were you the one running the business previously?
Yes.
Are you, what is your licensed as something? What is your profession?
I'm a licensed psychologist in the company South Shore Counseling and Psychological Services.
Okay, and are you planning to operate any business out of there in the future?
No, it's just my house.
Okay,
Do you live there?
Yes, I do.
all right, so,
Like Ichabod Crane.
pardon me?
It's a joke. I'm wandering around in a 250-year-old house like Ichabod Crane.
It's a very nice house, by the way.
Yes, it's
I'm
beautifully
glad you
kept.
kept it that way.
Yes.
Okay, I really don't have an issue.
Christina, can I see that, please? On another topic, is there anyone here with a red Bronco parked in the lot because you're currently parked in two reserved parking spots? Anyone here with a red Bronco? I'll take that as being no.
There are no site issues.
Right, I agree.
It's just a matter of getting the height correct. So we can always,
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to ferret out what height we're deliberating about, and that large driveway to the south of your property, you have no intention of putting any fencing anywhere near it, right?
No. intention was to put it on the wall because the wall follows the grade of the property. If it's a sticking issue, I can do that, but it would be a firmer plant to place the fence on top of the wall that could drive it into the wall as opposed to into the earth. I would prefer it to be on the wall. Height-wise, it makes no
Then we
difference.
would have to have it varying from 4 to 6, right? And it's also, you said it's gonna be scalloped, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so with the scalloping too, that kind of mitigates. But Christina,
Still 4 to 6.
scalloping too. So I think it might be okay. Like, if you look at it too, the grade does, like, the thing goes up, the grade kind of goes like this, and
Then it goes down near Leon Terrace.
%. At the highest point, it will be higher than that. All right, we'll have to figure out our deliberation.
One last thing about the corner issue. We have photos of the corner of Leanne and Wantagh Avenue, pulling up on Leanne to Wantagh. If I could show you that with the sidewalk, you really have better sight lines than you think you might have normally for the reasons that the code has been in place.
Pedestrians, you mean?
For pedestrians and for cars pulling up, you're not obstructed, really. You can see cars coming down on the left from where the fence is.
Did you
because of the
take,
sidewalk.
did you take those photographs yourself?
I
This
did.
gentleman-
Did you?
I took them
When did you
today.
take them, sir?
Today, this
Do
morning.
they fairly and accurately represent what they purport to?
Absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
thank you. Then we will accept them in evidence.
So that chain link fence shown is also part of the proposed replacement along
Yes.
Leanne.
That's what I would be replacing it.
And these photographs obviously were taken from the northern part of Leanne Terrace, is that correct?
Yes, I took them
Looking
from
south,
my car as I pulled up to the corner.
so it
And I-
doesn't appear, well, the photographs speak for themselves. All right, anything else you'd like to add?
Just on the shed.
Yes?
Okay, so the shed, which appears to have been built in the 1970s, has two issues. The first is the horizontal length.
What is it?
It's 14 feet 4 inches, where the maximum is 12 feet. It should be noted that the square footage is only 112 square feet, well below the 144 maximum. The second issue is that since on this property, there's only a 4-foot chain link fence in the back, according to code, the shed is supposed to be exactly 2 feet from the interior property, interior corner property lines. But as we already noted, the neighbor's fence is 6 feet directly behind our fence. And also that putting it in, moving the shed to the interior corner is an impossibility because the garage is there already.
Well, you correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
but the caption says you have more than required side and rear yard setbacks.
But he has to have exact.
I'm sorry?
You
What are
have,
the side and rear setbacks you propose? It's supposed to be 2 exactly, because you're on a,
2 exactly, yes.
it's supposed to be 2 exactly, side and rear.
Right.
You don't have that, just tell us what you propose.
We like to keep it exactly where it is, based upon the.
Which is what?
Oh,
4 and
which
6.
is 3.1 rear yard and 87 feet from the second front yard. That's on the site plan.
And if you know, is your property line running along Leanne Terrace? Is that considered your side yard? It varies on a corner lot.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is your side yard the one on Leanne Terrace?
Well, I know it's a second front yard, but we were hoping to keep, but that was the clearest number that we had. I don't have a number for the opposite side yard. So we're looking for 87 feet from the Leanne Terrace.
So if you were, just for the record, if you were to put it 2 and 2, well, first of all, if you try to put it 2 and 2 in one corner, the garage is in the way.
Correct.
If you try to put it 2 and 2 in the other corner, you're going to be basically in the front yard on Leanne, since you have 3 front yards.
Correct.
So where you have it is a better location.
That's our position, yes.
Is there anything? What obstructs? What obstructs? What is Joe's objection?
I raised the issue that on the corner of Leanne Terrace and Wantor Avenue, the existing shrubs that are there are meshed in together, and that's considered a living fence. Now, you got that? That pulling out of Leanne Terrace on that side, the north side, creates an obstruction of view for the cars going north on Wantor Avenue. Do you agree with that?
I don't have any photo, I understand what you're
Okay.
saying in principle, but I don't have any photos from
Mr.
that area.
Mr. James lives there, so he's probably done that.
Yes, it does not cause an obstruction of view for cars going north on Wantagh Avenue.
So if I'm going west on Leanne Terrace, I could clearly see the cars without sticking my nose into Wantor Avenue.
Got it on my phone and video if you want to see it. Right now.
Like,
Would you like to?
no, I don't want to see it. Like I said, I've been there. I've been there since
Leanne
1979.
Terrace is a very wide road, and it allows a person to pull up to the corner, and cars going north can clearly see that vehicle,
So
as well as that vehicle can see
I could
down to
look,
the traffic light.
so I could look to the south when I stick the front of my car out to Wantor Avenue without getting caught by a car on Wantor Avenue going south,
Well,
north.
without being cute, depends how fast they're going. You know what I'm saying?
That I agree with.
Yeah. The view is unobstructed.
You're not allowed to park on Wantor Avenue in front of your house, correct?
It's not a good idea.
Is there parking allowed?
Parking is not allowed now.
So, because this roadway goes to the curb.
Correct.
So, no, I know. You're gonna have to address, in my opinion, something about that clear sight triangle. The clear sight triangle is that corner where Wantor Avenue and Leanne Terrace intersect. I think that creates a blind spot. I think you don't have to acknowledge it, but I think you'll agree with that. So that has to be addressed one way or another.
When I spoke to the fence company, they said there were two ways, by making a triangle or lowering the fence to 2 feet around that corner.
There
so
you
it
go.
reduced
What's
the
your
blind
choice?
spot. I'm open to that.
Which one?
Lowering the fence to 2 feet from 4 feet.
And you would clear that with the shrubbery as well?
There's no shrubbery in that corner.
There's a tree? Well, the tree is set back.
Well, all of it's set kind of back.
It's got hedging over there. Hedge that's growing into the fence, which will get removed anyway. Correct?
Yeah, I can, sir.
I said there's shrubbery, bushes, greenery.
There really isn't. It's attached to the fence.
Yes,
Yeah, but
That-
there are no roots, so they're gonna rip the fence out, they're ripping
And
the shrubbery
and
out
the
too.
shrubbery will come out as well.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so you'll reduce the fence to
Right.
2.5 feet at that intersection for a distance of 8 feet.
Yes,
8 feet on Wantor Avenue, 8 feet on Lehan Terrace.
Not a
So that
problem.
when I pull my car out, I can clearly see traffic coming. That was a
done,
tough,
done and done.
that was a tough one. Do I need counseling now?
Yes, I might have to go back and spend an hour with my assistant director.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. You'll both receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you, have a nice day.
Thank you
Second.
very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have case 244 of 25, Baldwin Centro Biblico Casa de Restauracion, Inc. Variances, side yard, rear yard, construct two-story addition to building, a portion of which is in a Residence B district. Special exception to construct addition for classrooms in conjunction with existing religious and educational use. Variance in off-street parking, also known as 2880 Grand Avenue.
Yes, it's letters from the neighbors. Yes. Esteban Lopez, 210 South Haven Avenue, Medford, New York, 11763. Agent.
Cesar Morataya, 47 Howard Avenue, Freeport, New York, 11520.
Can I ask you quickly,
Sure.
did you guys come before this board a couple of years ago with a kind of dilapidated building there, wanting to do a religious use? Or
So I wasn't the applicant before, but there was an application 2018 that I'm aware of that was change of use from a restaurant to religious use, which was approved.
Was the building much more dilapidated than the ones in the photograph now? Not as nice.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, they renovated it. Correct. Here. Hello, board members. My name is Esteban Lopez of 210 South Haven Avenue. Okay. Hello, board members. My name is Esteban Lopez of 210 South Haven Avenue, agent to the owner of 2880 Grand Avenue, Baldwin, a non-for-profit religious corporation. We are here looking for relief on a 1,617 square foot, two-story addition to the church that will have a fellowship area and 4 classrooms in the second floor that will solely be used for Sunday school and childcare during services only. This added square footage requires an additional 31 parking spots, which the property does not have any more room for additional parking spots.
Hold on. How many parking spots did you need before this, and how many did you have?
So, I have here. So in the previous application in 2018,
18.
we needed 84 and we had 53. And that was granted.
Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
I would like to make it clear that the additional square footage will not directly impact the parking, as it's not extending the main congregation area for more occupants, but merely an extension to supplement the congregation, as it will be used, as stated before, to hold religious Sunday classes and childcare during services, which are Wednesdays from 7:30 to 9 and Sundays from 9 to 1. The congregation currently has about 35 cars that utilize the parking spaces, and we will have 46 parking spaces total, including 4 handicap spots.
Hold on. So, the addition requires how many more spots?
31.
So that puts you up to, what, 105? No, 115?
Yes, 115, correct.
And then what you're providing is going down from 53?
There's 6 spots that we're gonna be using because of the addition. So there's an area where the addition is gonna be held that we're gonna lose some spots.
So you're down to 47.
Yes, 46, something like that.
46?
47, I mean, sorry.
47. Okay, and tell us why this addition doesn't need more parking in reality, even though the numbers think it does?
So in reality, the space that we are extending is for Sunday classes and childcare. So it's not like more people are gonna come. It's the same people in the congregation that are we're just gonna use that space to hold the kids during service.
And you're saying this is Sunday 7:30 to 1 and Wednesday 7:30 to 9?
Yes.
No other time they're using the premises at all?
No, I mean, they do have some meetings and stuff like that, fellowship meetings, but small meetings, nothing as big as the actual, Sunday. Yeah.
So tell us why you believe 47 parking spots will be adequate. Just boil it down.
It's so the classrooms only require five parking spots. It's the area in the first floor that we're adding that currently it's going to be used as a fellowship area, which requires 25. It's really just an open space that they're going to be using for, just holding.
No, but can you just say, listen, 47 spots are enough spots whenever we're using this facility because what?
Oh, because the congregation is small and they currently have 35 parking cars at the moment. Yeah, they have like about 30 families. Each family comes with a car. It's not like, multiple people come with different cars within the family, so,
But I'm sure your congregation plans and hopes to grow like any congregation. When you have that much square footage, what are we supposed to do as it grows? Look, it looks like you've got a beautiful building now. Looks like you guys are on track to really have a following. What are you doing? I mean, you got enough space to need 115 cars in terms of what you could use it for.
correct.
So I get 47's enough now, but how does the use of the building, how are you not going to need more? And I'm not asking you into the millennium. I'm just saying, in the next 10 years,
I mean, I'm sure if that happens, we're probably going to look for another. Look for another space that's bigger, expand. That would be my response.
Is there parking on Grand Avenue?
Excuse me?
Is there parking on Grand Avenue?
No, there is no off-street parking on
Okay.
Grand Avenue. Right.
Are there any town of Hempstead parking lots in the vicinity?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is a gym in front that there's been conversations that if we can, share. It's right in front of them. You can share the parking spaces. They use ours when we're not open. Because we only use it Sunday and.
you have a way to ensure they don't use yours when you are open. I'd hate for your congregants to arrive and all the gym people are taking half the spots.
I mean, that is an option, but if it becomes an issue. I mean, I do want to put it on record that during the 4 years that we've used the congregation, there's never been parking issues. There's never been neighbors complaining that people are parking on their yards, on the street. So it's
No problem.
yeah, no problem. So.
I would just move, Mr. Chairman, that the hearing be closed, that the matter be placed on the decision calendar. You'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered. Thank you both for coming. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have cases 245 of 25 through 246 of 25, Uniondale, FC Realty LLC. Variances, front yards setback on Finemore Avenue and Lenox Avenue, rear yard, variance in off-street parking, special exception to park in front yard setback on Front Street, and with parking in clear sight triangle on Fenimore Avenue and Lenox Avenue, construct one-story building for 8 retail stores, demolish existing building, install one detached double-faced illuminated pylon sign, overall size 96 square feet, 48 square feet per face, setback 3 feet 6 inches from Lenox Avenue and 3 feet 6 inches from Front Street and within clear sight triangle, north side of Front Street between Fenimore Avenue and Lenox Avenue.
Sure. Good afternoon. Appearing for the applicant, Howard Avertine, 66 North Central Avenue, Valley Stream.
Barry Nelson, 220 Pettit Avenue, Belmore, New York, 11710.
Sean Mulryan Engineering, 1225 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, New York.
Michael Malia, Di Preparazio and Malia Architects, 499 Jericho Turnpike, Mineola, New York, 11501.
This is the old bank building, correct?
It is.
And Mr. Wright had always been married to that place with Mr. Chang.
Yes.
He got unmarried?
Well, Mr. Wright asked me to become involved. Good afternoon. This is the application of FC Realty LLC for variances required in order to construct a shopping center and accessory parking, as well as one double-faced pylon sign. The premises under application is located on the northerly side of Front Street between Fenimore Avenue and Lenox Avenue in Uniondale. It has 21,961.68 square feet of lot area, approximately 1/2 acre, and is developed with a one-story building formerly utilized as a bank, along with accessory parking. By this application, the applicant seeks variances required in order to develop the property with a new shopping center and accessory parking as depicted on the plans before the board. The board may recall that this property was the subject of 2 previous applications. Both of those applications sought approvals of a laundromat in the proposed center, and both of those applications were denied by the board. This application does not propose a laundromat or any use which requires a special exception. The plans depict 8 separate spaces in the center to be occupied by retail, personal service, businesses, or offices, or other permitted uses in the business zone within which the property is located. The size of the proposed spaces varies from approximately 800 square feet and 1,100 square feet, totaling 7,379.29 square feet. There is also a basement for storage. The variances required are as follows. First, parking, 55 spaces are required, 38 spaces are provided. We also require a special exception for parking in the required front yard setback on Front Street. In addition, 18 spaces are located in the front yard setback and clear sight triangle. Parking in the clear sight triangle is on Fenimore Avenue and Lenox Avenue. In addition, we require front yard setback relief on Fenimore Avenue and Lenox Avenue, with 10 feet being required and 5 feet being provided. Lastly, with respect to the building and the parking, there's a rear yard variance required with 10 feet required and 0 feet provided. With respect to the proposed pylon sign, as I indicated, is a double-faced illuminated sign, 32 square feet, excuse me, is the maximum per face. 64 square feet is proposed. In addition, there is a 20-foot setback requirement. We seek a relief from that. We propose 3 feet 6 inches from Front Street and 3 feet 6 inches from Lenox Avenue. In addition, we need relief from the clear sight triangle requirement on both Front Street and Lenox Avenue. The applicant's representatives met with the community on May 5th to present the plans. We met with the folks at the Nostrand Garden Civic Association, and I know that Pearl Jacobs is here from the Civic. In addition, last Saturday I had the opportunity to speak by Zoom with the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition and answered their questions regarding the plans. Those in attendance at the meetings were mostly concerned, at least my understanding, and of course they'll speak for themselves, regarding the specific uses that would be in the center. Obviously, since the center hasn't been built and we don't have any tenants yet, it's difficult to tell, but we are willing, upon receiving the input from those meetings, that the applicant will agree that there'll be no vape shop, no smoke shop, no tattoo shop, and no off-track bedding facility. They asked for additional items, but the owner cannot restrict uses to the point where they may not be able to survive, being too restricted on what would otherwise be permitted uses and permitted type stores and other items, offices, or retail operations, personal service businesses in the business zone. We also received some requests regarding a landscape plan. The architect did prepare one. I'll hand up something for the board to consider in terms of landscaping. There's not a lot of space on the site for landscaping, but in the areas where it is doable, we show it on the site plan. Let me just, yes, sir.
Why did the planning commission hold it in abeyance?
I'll explain that in a moment, Mr.
That would be good.
I'll give you these first.
Thank you.
Should I bring them up? Or?
No,
Oh.
no.
Okay.
Council gets them.
Yes.
She has to approve them first.
You want the landscape plan? You want to see the landscape? So what happened was I spoke with Greg Hessel at the Planning Commission prior to the Planning Commission considering their referral on the application. And the issue they raised was their community input on the fact that the building extends all the way to the northerly property line. That's the rear of the building. And I said, well, at the time that I had spoken to him, I had not yet met with the civic associations. And so I believe what happened was the first meeting, May 5th, was with the Nostrand Gardens folks. The Planning Commission made its review on the prior Thursday, before I had a chance to meet with the community and get their input. So I did get the input from, or I did meet with the civic associations. They did not express a preference to me, at least as of now, as to whether they preferred the building where it currently is located or if it be moved up a little bit. And the The issue there, as I'm sure you can appreciate, Mr. Pellegrini, is if it's at the property line, some might say, well, maybe it's not a great idea to have a wall like that on the property line. But if you move it back a few feet, and this is the rear of the building, there can be a propensity for workers, if there are doors, to go in the back and speak and cause inconveniences, shall we say. Also, in my experience anyway with small centers, areas like that can be a magnet for debris and wind-blown materials, so it's not an easy answer. And so I always thought, and I always recommend, at least in the first instance, unless somebody really objects to it, that we do go to the property line to avoid those inconveniences, rather than create that little corridor back there. So the Planning Commission, I advised them that we were meeting with the community, that we would be, hopefully the board would proceed with the hearing, and I would report back to them at their May 29th meeting so that they could make their formal recommendation, understanding that the board would clearly reserve decision and not make a decision on this application until such time as the Planning Commission rendered its referral recommendation to the board based upon. But as far as I understood from the commission's rep staff, that the only issue was whether there would be the building built on the property line.
So they received all the traffic reports, et cetera?
They didn't ask for the traffic study. I'll certainly furnish it to them if they want it.
Do you
Martin
intend?
Katz has been away. I think he's been on, he had a medical issue. So Greg Hessel took over for him during that time period. But they're not going to consider this again until the 29th. I'll certainly provide that to them if they want it.
Mr. Mulryan, are you going to submit a traffic report today?
It's on, we submitted it to the
Oh,
town.
it is
It's on the town
file.
portal.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
yes, absolutely.
Save me,
No, it was loaded up.
it is on file.
Yes. I always meet the 30-day rule.
I thought as much, but you never know.
Yes, no, Mr. Nelson's photographs and Mr. Mulryan's report are on the portal.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please go right ahead and
Certainly.
continue.
So at this time, if I could just for a moment introduce Michael Malia, the project architect, just to take the board through the site plan for a moment, including the points of ingress and egress and how it's all laid out.
I didn't look, I was questioning the applicant.
So on the site plan, I've highlighted the proposed building, and it's right up against the property line on the rear north side of the property. The yellow highlighted is where the proposed offsets of the required side yards, rear yards, and front yards are. As you can see, the parking is along Front Street, is in the front yard setback. The 20-foot clear sight line, there is one parking spot that's clipping it on both sides, on Fenimore and on Lennox. And we have the offset on the side yard on both sides of the building.
Just please also, Mr. Malia, just explain where the points of ingress and egress
Okay,
are.
sure. So we
One
have,
thing, Mr. Avertine, my radius map shows, that seems to show the front of the building and the back of the property if you went by. In other words, my radius map shows it right in the middle. I mean, I just want to know which one's correct.
Yeah, that was just a box that they put on there. It's not,
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't
So
purport to be,
that is showing, it's actually supposed to go all the way back to the property line,
That's
like you
correct.
said earlier. Okay.
I have an extra, well, you can see it on the landscape plan that I just
Yeah.
handed up. It depicts it as well. The landscape plan is the site plan with landscaping depicted on it.
No, I got it first.
okay, so there's ingress from Front Street, and we have two-way egress and ingress from Lennox and from Fenimore on the middle of the parking lot.
And these points of ingress and egress, these curb cuts, are all presently existing.
No, this is
Unless you have no questions of Mr. Malia, at this time, I'd like to introduce Barry Nelson to testify.
Mr. Nelson, you have previously been qualified by this board as a real estate expert, and you have testified before us as such on numerous occasions. Since the last time you were qualified as an expert on real estate and property values, have any of your qualifications changed?
No, sir.
So we will again qualify you as a real estate expert, and you are free to testify as such in connection with this application. For those of you who are here, that merely means that he can offer an opinion. The weight we give to his opinion is subject to what we deem it to be. Okay? Go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I handed in some aerial views of the subject property and additional aerial views of nearby developments that I will testify shortly to, all in Uniondale on Front Street. I also handed in a packet of photographs. I believe there are 32 pictures taken by myself and fairly and accurately represent the subject property, the surrounding area, and the other developments which I'll reference shortly. As Council mentioned, the application is to redevelop the subject property. A former bank back in 1960s, First Nationwide, it changed, I think, bank names various times. The applicant has owned the property now for at least close to 9 years. The property has been vacant. It's been before this board for prior applications. Today, it is for strictly retail use, one-story building. The property is entirely within a business X zone. The requested variances and special exceptions would be for the setbacks, the off-street parking, parking in the front yard setback. And that setbacks, that would be for the property is a block front between Lenox Avenue on the west, Fenimore Avenue on the east, and it's on the north side of Front Street. Generally, it's between California Avenue on the west, which leads to Hofstra University nearby, and Uniondale Avenue on the east. Front Street runs generally east and west, predominantly zoned ribbon, 100 feet deep, slightly irregular because it's not strictly a perpendicular to the blocks north and south. So you're slightly off, like the subject property on the easterly side and the westerly side go beyond the 100-foot, but it is entirely a business zone. The application would be almost a mirror-type image what's across the street that's known on the radius map as Lenox Plaza, retail, and parking the front yard setback, both on all three sides, Front Street, Lenox Avenue, Fenimore Avenue to the east. Building is built on the rear property line on the southerly property line. In fact, that development was two-phase, in that the southeast corner was built in the early 1990s, and the second portion, the southwest corner of Fenimore Avenue and Front Street thereafter, in the 1998. The breakdown of that property is, the entire parcel is combined 21,516 square feet, somewhat comparable to the subject parcel, and the combined buildings are 8,280 square feet. The lot coverage is 38.5%, slightly greater than what the applicant is seeking today. And the requested off-street parking originally required 56 parking spaces, 38 was provided. So what you got is comparable to what the applicant is proposing. In fact, the sign on the property would be at the southeast corner of Lenox Avenue and Front Street is slightly larger. The applicant, I believe, is asking for 96 square feet, and that across the street was approved, same type of sign, pylon, at the comparable setbacks, 2 and 3 feet off of Front Street and Lenox Avenue at 126 total, or 56 a side.
Wait, Mr. Nelson, is that, I see entrance sign, exit sign. Are you talking about entrance sign?
No, the ground pylon signs.
Yeah, I don't see it on the diagram. Okay, I'm looking right there.
There is a site plan, there should be a site plan in your file for the sign specifically. Is that the one I just handed up?
Pardon me?
Is that the one I just handed up?
I don't know. It's one from the file for sure.
Well, there's one, because there's two separate site plans, there are two separate applications.
It just needs to be marked.
What are the two separate applications?
One is for the center, one is for the sign.
Oh, 245 and 246?
Yes. So if you'd like, I can come up and show you exactly
No,
where
no,
the
if there's
sign
a diagram here. Oh, okay. Yeah, this one has the pylon sign. What's the clearance, Mr. Avertine?
from the bottom.
Yeah,
Let me just get,
because it does kind of, whenever they're on the left of a place you turn out,
yes, understood. The clearance, 7 feet,
oh, good, 7-foot clearance and
Yes.
pylon.
correct. Two pylons.
Wait, two
Would you like-
pylons? Wait,
Would you like to see the sign? There should be,
wait, did you say two pylon?
well, I meant two. Two
Oh.
poles, my mistake.
And then the one on the other side of the pull-in, the entrance sign, that's just one of those small ones, right?
Correct, that's
Over on
not,
Front Street.
right, the variance is only for the pylon at the corner of Lenox and Front. Yes, you should, yes, absolutely.
So that would be comparable to what the applicant is seeking today, and they were under cases, just give me a second. The southeast corner was cases 756 through 759 in 1991. The southwest corner was several years later under cases 1046, 1045, and 1046, December 13th, 1995. They were developed and now would be depicted in what's my photographs and aerial views. I looked at another similar type of development where retail stores were constructed, and they would be approximately half a mile east of the subject property on Front Street, the south side, between Locust Avenue and Chestnut Street in Uniondale. That was a application before this board under cases 377 and 3 through 379, April 24, 2002. Similar applications, parking in the front yard setback on the 3 streets that block front like the subject property, parking variance, sign variance, and building constructed on the rear property line or the southerly property line. You do have photographs of that development as well as an aerial view. I think it's the last page of my aerial views that'll depict that development. Comparable to what's sought in this application with parking in the front yard setback and a building on the rear property line. Development had 10 stores on 22,718 square feet for the land, 10,372 square feet for the building, and it was built in 2002. There was a third development in the middle of the block, just east of Uniondale Avenue, and that was known as 1037 through 1045 Front Street, constructed in 2008, 4,320 square feet of retail on 12,000 square feet of land. And that had proposed under cases 595 through 596 for parking in the front yard setback, rear yard setback, building on the property line. That was mid-block, and it was adjacent to residential, similar to the subject property and similar to the two other previous cases that I've mentioned. Again, that had a requirement for 27 parking spaces. 15 was provided and approved. Again, under cases 595 through 597, 11/17/2004. Developed, approved, and is occupied. In all instances, they are adjacent to residential with 0 rear yard setbacks. I reviewed comparable sales in each instance for property values. Again, you have residential against business. In all instances, the subject block, the block to the across the street, the block to the east, east of Uniondale Avenue, and the middle application, I looked at property values. Property values continued to appreciate, similar to other homes in Uniondale. The instance in this application, both houses provide for setbacks, driveways abutting the subject property. The building or the dwelling on the east side of Lenox Avenue has a detached, two-car detached garage, and approximately 25 feet from the property line to the dwelling. On the west side of Fenimore, the garage is on the southerly side near the subject property and has approximately a 10-foot setback to the dwelling. Across the street, you have similar type developments of the residential abutting the business. Based on my research, my findings, and I've done a lot of work in this area for similar type developments, the character of the neighborhood, when properties provide provide parking, it's either on the front yard setbacks on corners or along Front Street. Some of them have it in the rear, like just to the east you have the Domino's Pizza, and to the next corner you have some retail. In my opinion, what's proposed in today's application is a reasonable development for the subject property. The applicant purchased the property, let me just get back to that for a moment, back in Sure. The applicant purchased the property in December of 2015, almost 10 years ago now. Trying to redevelop it from the court. They paid $900,000. Real estate tax to date is approximately ended up cumulative to date of $385,000. Carrying cost insurance and maintenance, et
Unless the board has any further questions for Mr. Nelson, I would like to introduce my next witness. But before I do, I'd just like to make sure something is clear on the record. I believe Mr. Nelson stated that the parking requirement was 56 spaces. It is not. It is 55. So I just want to make sure that's clear on the record. 55 required, 38 provided. This time, I'd like to introduce Sean Mulryan to testify regarding the parking variance request, as well as the clear sight triangle and the impact of the sign and the low shrubberies that we're looking to put in that area.
Mr. Mulryan, you've previously testified before this board on many occasions as an expert witness in the area of parking and traffic. Since the last time you qualified as an expert witness, have any of your qualifications changed?
No, they have not.
So we will again qualify you as an expert to testify on parking and traffic.
Thank you very much.
You are free to so testify, sir.
Sean Mulryan, Mulryan Engineering. Again, this application has been before the board on numerous occasions. I was here approximately 2 years ago representing the application with a laundromat. The laundromat has been removed from the application. The parking that is required for the subject site is 55 total parking spaces. Of importance is how that parking is calculated. The parking for the retail stores is 38 parking spaces required. 17 parking spaces are required for the basement storage area. So again, there's 38 parking spaces required specifically for the retail store area, and 38 parking spaces are provided on the subject site. We looked at the Institute of Transportation Engineers based on a retail site of this size, and the statistical data provided by the Institute of Transportation Engineers indicates that 38 parking spaces will be sufficient for the number of stores that are proposed at the subject site. Again, this application went through a significant amount of testimony previously relating around the proposed laundromat, which is no longer proposed at this subject site. These are strictly retail stores. Any change to that would require additional parking would require the applicant to come before this board. For instance, if there was a restaurant that was being proposed, that would require additional parking, and a separate and additional variance would be required. So this application today is strictly for retail stores, approximately 7,500 square feet of retail space on the upper level and a similar sized basement storage area below. And again, the parking that is required for the stores is met on the subject site. The shortage is related specifically or numerically to the storage area below these stores, which is 17 parking spaces required for that storage area, which we do not believe will increase the number of cars coming to or from the subject site. We're also required to have variances for a clear sight triangle. The applicant, after meeting with the civic associations, is looking to provide landscaping on both corners of Fenimore and Lenox. The landscaping that's proposed will be low. It will not exceed 2 to 3 feet when it's mature, at a mature height, so vehicles will be able to see over that. The pylon sign that's located on the corner of Lenox and Front Street has 2 vertical poles, but the sign itself will be 7 feet above grade, so vehicles will be able to see below the signage. Vehicles exiting Lenox onto Front Street will also be 1 travel lane away from the subject site, and they'll also be separated from the subject site by the sidewalk that's provided on Lenox and on Front Street. So the clear sight triangle that's determined by the property line is set back from the roadway. Front Street along the subject site also has a full shoulder, so that shoulder again increases the distance from the vehicles leaving both Lenox and Fairmore away from the vehicles traveling on Front Street. So vehicles have a greater visibility because of that shoulder. The vehicles on Fenimore are closer to the subject site, but again, there's a sidewalk not only on the side street but also on Front Street, again separating the cars and providing more distance for the vehicles to see around. So the clear sight triangle is set back from the roadway and set back from the travel lanes where people are looking to see. The low shrubbery will also not block visibility of pedestrians on those sidewalks. So we believe that the clear sight triangle, as proposed, are sufficient. This application is on a state highway, so any work within the state highway, any utility work, or other work within that right-of-way will have to go through the state DOT, who controls and maintains these intersections. That's a brief summary of the report that was submitted to the board. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Would you like me to go through these comments now or wait for the other folks to speak?
Might as well do it. It's up to you, but I just thought you might want to
Sure,
respond.
I'll go through them now. Most of the, I'll just do it summarily rather than each one. Most of them are concerned about lack of parking. I think Mr. Mulryan's testimony indicates that based upon the usable space, the first floor space, we do provide ample parking based upon both the town's zoning code as well as ITE analysis. Another person said that they thought it was too much parking in the front. Well, I guess it can't be too much and too little at the same time, but we're doing the best we can. We designed this project in a way that would be reasonable for the community and reasonable for the applicant, provide adequate parking, utilize existing ingress and egress points for safety purposes. There is concern also in some of the communications regarding parking on Lenox and Fenimore. Again, we believe that there will not be an issue with folks coming to the center parking on the neighboring streets. There should be plenty of on-site parking. In addition, some of the complaints deal with that they just don't want to see more commercial development in the area. The town board has zoned this property for business purposes. We are proposing for permitted business uses on this property. And so even though I understand the sentiment that some folks just feel that they don't want any more, this property owner has a right to develop its property in a reasonable fashion, and that's what we are proposing here. There was also some reference to refuse. Just so the board is aware, the refuse will be by each tenant will maintain their own refuse containers, and they will be picked up by town pickup on normal refuse days, and also they will maintain the refuse within their own units in the lower level until they're ready for pickup.
Mr. Avertine, since you brought that up, usually something like this has some dumpsters somewhere in the back, but you're pushing it up there. And you said they'll each maintain their own, but I don't see the standard enclosure with a dumpster that they all dump it in.
There's no dumpster proposed, Mrs. D'Amato.
Where are they going to put it?
Well, they're going to put it out for pickup. We're going to have to confer with sanitation as to whether they want to come to the front of the building and pick it up, or whether they're going to want the pails put on Front Street. I don't know. We haven't done that yet.
So they're going to keep all the trash inside the building, each of them, until they're not going to, because there is nowhere to put it outside unless you're putting it in a parking spot.
No, we're not. That's the point. We're not doing that.
So they're going to keep it in their
They are.
buildings
They are.
and
that's
not
part of
stick
the
it out in
reason.
the back by the
No.
neighbors.
Well, there's no room in the back. That's another reason to...
Right, well, I didn't know if there was like a couple feet.
No, there's
You can't
nothing.
tell.
There's not.
So
The only
no
place
one-
where there's areas on either side of the building, but that's where we're putting the arborvitae, proposing the arborvitae.
So if we
hedges.
grant this, each of these lessees are going to know when they lease the property, they're not allowed to stick their trash outdoors until they stick it out for pickup.
That's correct.
Okay.
There should be 2 pickup days a week, as there are for everyone else.
Right, but
And
I can just see this scenario like it's happened before. A couple of them they stick it out in the front, or they stick it out
somewhere,
or out on the side, on the end of one of them, because they all figure,
Well, I will advise my client to put in each of his leases an obligation
Right.
to comply with that restriction, that all the waste must be kept within the building until such time as it's put out for pickup by municipal pickup.
Thank you.
And and that's essentially my, my points here. They talk about safety, congestion, quality of life, but again, we're talking about permitted uses for this property, and due to the fact primarily that the property has 3 street frontages, we have specific and unusual, I dare say unique, difficulties in terms of complying with all the requirements and still being able to build a reasonable project on the property. Oh, yes. I do? That was what I wanted to keep.
Thank you. Pro Jacobs. Oh, I'm sorry. I do. Yeah, Pro Jacobs, president of Nelson Garden Civic Association in Uniondale. Thank you for allowing me to speak. We do have issues. We have in Uniondale, and I must say, and I hate to say this, but it's true, Uniondale, an underserved and neglected community.
Hold on, one sec. So I heard you give your name and you're with the Civic Association, but usually I try to look up the speaker so
That's
I
okay.
can more understand their, but on the radius map, are you on the radius map or no because you're the Civic Association?
Excuse me, I live in Uniondale, right?
Pardon me?
I'm a resident of Uniondale.
I understand.
no,
I'm
no.
not saying
What
you
are you
can't
saying?
speak. I just, oftentimes the speaker, if I can find them on the radius map, it helps me to understand when they're saying this happens here or there. So are you on this radius map or what's your,
I don't understand what you're saying, so I'm not a zoning person. Oh, I live, well, I live in Uniondale. I do not live in the proximity
mean
of
it-
of Front
that's what I
Street.
wanted to
Right, I
find
do
out
not
if
live
you
in a,
were.
right, thank you. I do not live in the proximity of Front Street, but I live in the, So, I must say, in Front Street, Front Street, we have issues, and I understand it's a state issue, it's a state roadway. There have been many emails back and forth to our Senator Thomas, former Senator Thomas, our current Senator, Silabino, regarding the deterioration of Front Street. On Front Street, we have severe ponding, poor drainage, and it's actually currently an environmental issue, especially in the summer when there's water ponds on Front Street. It looks like lakes on Front Street, and it stays there. And then we have mosquitoes and larvae and you know, all sorts of issues in the summer. In the wintertime, the water freezes on Front Street, and you have, you know, potholes and slipperage and everything going on there. The other issues, we do have 4 strip malls within a 1 mile radius, less than a 1 mile radius on Front Street. We do have a lot of environmental issues with that also. Constantly calling, neighbors are constantly calling the town of Hempstead because we do not have where you can put your refuge out. They actually take garbage and they throw it right on the sidewalks. The sidewalks are always littered with garbage and trash bags that are not properly closed. You have crows that come, birds that come, and they leave this garbage in front of these.
wait,
strip malls.
are you saying the businesses, the 4 strip malls in a mile that you referenced, they put the, because I assume they're gonna put their trash out on the sidewalk or on the street for pickup. Are you talking about that, or are you saying people stick their trash out there for days?
Well, I'm talking about the people that, the businesses in the strip mall, they stick their trash out there because there's nowhere they have to put it. They don't have any refuge in the back. They put them on the sidewalk, and they
For
have.
pickup, or they leave it out there for more than pickup?
They leave it out there sometimes 2-3 days at a time before the town comes. And you can actually verify this with the sanitation. I'm always calling the Department of Sanitation. Neighbors are calling the Department of Sanitation. In fact, I had at my April Civic Association meeting, I had the Commissioner for Sanitation, you know, at my meeting for other sanitation issues as well as these issues in our community. Like I said, those are the issues that we deal with. I do not believe that any other zip codes that they would have strip malls where you don't have any place to put your garbage or refuge. they're saying, oh, it's not zoned for this, we don't have to, you know, they don't have to put these, whatever you would call them, I'm not a zoning
Closures.
person. Dumpsters
Or
or whatever.
closures.
We do have new businesses that came in, we do have a new bowler that came in, and they're good neighbors, and they do have a dumpster, the 7-Eleven, they do have a dumpster, because we set with the, management before these, properties were done, and we asked for dumpsters. But right now, on Front Street is horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And I have asked my, my current senator, Sheila Bino, to walk Front Street with me to see how terrible it is. I'm sorry, I was just waiting, yeah. But yes, it's a health and safe environmental issue. Not only with the drainage and the ponding, that's a state issue. I'm trying to get the roadways done. I have several letters into our state senators. In fact, Senator Thomas, former Senator Thomas, said that the roadway was scheduled to be on the budget this year, 2025, to be done in Front Street. That has gone by the wayside. I have sent letters to Senator Sheila Bino. It's crickets with her. She hasn't gotten back to me yet regarding Front Street. Front Street is a disaster. But regarding the strip malls on Front Street, the current ones that we have, I'm not talking about, you know, our people, I'm talking about the current ones that we have. They're a degradation to our community. And we are absolutely constantly fighting it. Listen, I have cell numbers to all the code enforcement officers, and I call them, and neighbors call them, they call me, you know, several times a week at times, because they do put their garbage out, they put them in black bags, they're sitting on the sidewalks, the birds open them, and the garbage is thrown on the street. And it's just a health and safety issue, environmental disaster. And this strip mall that I'm talking about, the main one, is not far from an elementary school. So it's not good for our children as well. So I just want to let you know what goes on with these strip malls, and I just want to give you some points on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Uniondale is the strip mall capital of the town of Hempstead. As Pearl did mention, there are already several, I think it's 4 or 5 right on front, not to mention the ones on Jerusalem Avenue. And it really is not an appropriate situation to put another group of small stores in this location. I thought we had been promised that there would be no more strip malls in Uniondale. Would have been, I'm sorry?
I thought blank promised there would be
I
more.
thought that we had been promised by the town that strip mall, you know, this would not be.
Really?
And it would have been a good idea to have meetings with the Uniondale community ahead of time in order to plan for this, because we do have some ideas. But I have a question why the secra was not required.
Oh, it's required. You want to?
Yes, in accordance with New York State law as well as the board's requirements, the short environmental assessment form was submitted to the board and completed properly. I believe.
And we will
what-
make that determination.
Right, I believe that all that meant was the board has not made its secret determination yet, not that secret is not required to be
Right.
followed.
Correct.
That's correct.
So does that mean that there will not be a decision about this because of the secret situation?
No, it means
No.
the board will make that determination, probably at the same time it determines whether or not to grant the various requests.
Thank you. And the NCPC local determination, I don't understand what that is.
Nassau County Planning Commission will have to make a recommendation. We're not bound by that recommendation, but in most cases, we will withhold any decision until we get a recommendation from the NCPC.
In discussions with community members, our folks would really like to see a professional building or urgent care rather than another bunch of little dinky stores that are in competition with what we already have. So that is really a problem. The ingress from Front Street is a bad idea. There's a safety issue. The buses along there and other traffic, we just have a lane in each direction. It really is inappropriate to have ingress on Front Street.
Is that existing, Mr. Evertine, or new?
It is existing. All 3 points of ingress and egress are existing.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but that may be. We hope that, we ask that you not close the hearing because we understand there are some letters expected in opposition to this.
We already have a number of letters in the file, ma'am.
Thank you. That's it, good information. As far as the parking, I kind of figured that there are 2 employees per store, and that it would be 16 cars right there, leaving only 16 for the customers, which really is not enough parking for an area that's already impacted by Domino's and the strip mall across the street. You know, the folks on Lennox and Fenimore should not have to provide on-street parking for the strip mall. So those are some of our major concerns. But we feel that in this case and in the future, that there should be outreach to the Uniondale community before the planning gets started. And certainly the people who own this property know how we feel. While we're very appreciative of the removal of the laundromat and some of the other issues, we still feel it's not appropriate to our community. And I wear the mask because my husband is immune compromised.
I like it with the hat. You could go anywhere incognito like that. It would be good.
Okay. Thank you. Syed Ahmed? He's up here.
Good afternoon. My name is Syed Ahmed, and I live on Fenimore Avenue in Uniondale. Good afternoon, honorable members of the Board of Appeal. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I will speak out of my heart. My grammar may not be as good as some of us sitting here, but I think I can express my feeling how I feel. When I moved to Long Island 22 years ago, my daughter was born on Fenimore Avenue. She's graduating this week, tomorrow, from Albany State.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to that. I made time not to pack my luggage, but rather be here and speak to you folks, let you know what my family and friends in my block feels about this development that is going on right now. I agree with the lady behind me who just spoke and said we should have been involved during their planning process rather than bringing the planning process in front of us, and this is what we're going to do. Nonetheless, I live with my family and children on Fenimore Avenue for the last 22 years. We moved here from Queens for better quality of life. Since then, it has been gradually becoming difficult, each day with many serious inconveniences, which I was never taught or imagined. I thought Long Island is well respected, and it is still. When I tell folks, where do you live? When I tell them Long Island, they think I live in Long Island City. I don't. So I'd like to note a few items here that are going to help, especially my family and fellow neighbors. The busiest Domino's in the New York State, if anyone wants to verify that, you may do so. I've been a franchisee of restaurant business in the past. This Domino's takeout is the busiest Domino's in the state. You can imagine, and I would like to welcome you for a drink in my house any evening if you like, you can't park.
Is that a bribe?
If you need a videotape, I would be glad to spend my time and bring it to you or send it to you. They haven't done any traffic studies, and I'm very, very surprised by it. It is an important element of this decision, and it's not here. We talked about cars, blocks, no stopping sign, but this really doesn't justify what we are hearing. So I'll move on. Hofstra University is expanding every year, and I think all of you probably pass by and realize, oh my God, this is a new building here now. Beautiful building. They have parking, but the traffic didn't stop. They continuously maneuvering around us. There are signs has been posted by Town of Hempstead during Monday through Friday on Fenimore Avenue and the adjacent blocks where it says, do not park or else you'll get a ticket during this period of time. You can only imagine what will happen during Monday to Friday on Fenimore Avenue. So before we do this, we really would like to ask sincerely, is this really just my idea or thought, or the reality is been verified? The other issues that we are looking at is, I can't have my grandchildren come here. They live in Albany. They can't ride bikes alongside with me on Fenimore Avenue. We can't go anywhere from here. We have to actually pack the bike in the van and go away to Eisenhower Park 2 miles away to enjoy ourselves. This is not what I signed up for. Lastly, or a few other things that I'd like to bring up before I go home and you guys can go home. That would be, it has been referenced earlier about a shopping center on Locust Avenue on Uniondale, on Front Street. That strip center across the street does not have another parking lot or another strip center. This proposed project is directly across from an existing shopping center where sidewalks are always littered, it stains everywhere. I know I don't walk there, and I don't see many people who love to walk on that side to cross or walk. They always prefer to walk on the other side where the new proposed building is coming up. They do not have a garbage container anywhere. Every weekend when I come home to enjoy with my family, what I see, a pile of 15, 16 black bags, and the flies are all over the site. I really am ashamed that I have made an investment in here for my family. I can't pass my assets to my family members. They probably wouldn't want it. Few other things that I'd like to point out before I leave. Two shopping centers within few feet does not make sense. There are bus stops on both sides. Domino's Pizzas always have cars on every corner of a street. No one follows the signs. I'm done calling for complaint, asking for NCPD. They have better things to do to come in here and give tickets to people. There are trucks coming in to offload their supplies, and which they will do the same thing for all the retailers that we're proposing. Where are those big 18-wheelers who park to drop their supplies? Can somebody explain that to me as well? Because I see Domino's will park 4 o'clock in the morning, the engine will be running with their refrigeration system while they're delivering and while I'm trying to sleep. That is not fair. I pay my part of the taxes on my income as well as the state as well as the local property taxes. And I think I I would like to request all the respected members here to evaluate those little people that live there and would like to live there. I'm growing old, I'd like to retire here. And I cannot be walking in those dirty streets and fighting with those flies, can't maneuver with my car at my age. So those things are very important to me. I'd like you to please, please, please evaluate them and help us grow our family forward, not backwards. Uniondale still has an opportunity to move forward, and Hofstra University is right there. We are very proud of it. Town of Hempstead is developing nice buildings, and that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Abertine, can you tell us about the deliveries?
Almost exclusively by box truck. These are small tenancies. They're not going to receive deliveries by tractor trailers.
What are they gonna pull off?
Excuse
I
me?
mean, Front Street's not that narrow,
Well-
not that wide there. Are they gonna pull off into the parking lot?
Sure, a box truck can easily be accommodated.
Are
in
they
the
gonna
parking
pull
lot.
off at the times when the parking spots aren't needed?
Well, you can't necessarily dictate the timing of delivery services like that, but if I think as a practical matter, they will be off of the street and on the property to deliver. Whether it's a time when there are available spaces, I cannot guarantee. But for the most part, that will be the case, and if on occasion they have to park in the aisleway for a few minutes while they drop things off, that's unfortunately the way things work with commercial properties.
How many lanes is Front Street there?
One lane.
One lane each way?
There's a shoulder in front of the subject site where you can pull.
I mean, how can a box truck block the only lane in a certain
There's a
direction?
shoulder in front of the subject site where they can pull.
And would that shoulder be sufficient so as to not block?
Yes. It's a full shoulder.
Okay.
There's the shoulder, plus the trucks can come onto the property. I think what I'd like to reiterate at this point is, I mean, we've heard what the folks from the community are saying. Essentially, they don't want any more developments with retail. One of the folks suggested medical. We would love to have medical tenants, but we have to be able to get them, and they have to be willing to rent here. I'm not saying they won't, but I can't guarantee that they will. The property has remained for however many years. It's been at least 10 years undeveloped, and this will be a reasonable development for the property and for the area. The things that we've heard about, I don't dispute the accuracy or veracity of the statements that the folks have made. Clearly, though, they're not attributable to anything on this property. If the Domino's is creating problems, that should not be transferred onto our application. Similarly, that you have a piece of property that has to be developed with something, and if it's not going to be retail or general office or personal services, certainly the community I wouldn't imagine would want some sort of a fast food operation there. So this, in my estimation, would be the least impactful development that you could have. There's no special uses in terms of laundromats, dry cleaners, or similar. It's all as permitted uses in the business zone that we want to utilize this property for. The rest of it is setbacks and things that I think the testimony has demonstrated will not cause adverse impacts upon the surrounding area. And also the comments about refuse. I can't speak for those other centers. I don't know if they have internal space available to maintain their refuse, but we do, and we will, and as I indicated, that will be mandated. And I can't speak to the other areas, but if people are putting out refuse other than during the times that are permitted by the town code for refuse pickup, then they are violating the law. We're not going to do that. We're going to be in strict compliance, and as I indicated, I will instruct my client to put that in the leases with the tenants. Thank you.
Excuse me, you said you're going to put your garbage in the basement?
Well, it's going to be stored, yes, in the storage areas below until municipal pickup. They're not going to be just left outside.
What if you have a restaurant?
We don't, the restaurant's going to require another visit to see you good folks, because we'll need another parking variance. Because the parking required for a restaurant is more, so it will increase the parking demand over what we have. So if it's a restaurant, we'll be back.
What about a deli?
A deli can be there, but again, it's going to have to, I can tell you that they will have to maintain it in a way that it is not outside, whatever the tenancy is, and if they have to maybe even employ a refrigeration unit to avoid problems, then that's something that they would have to do. If the board would like, I mean, I can confer with my client, if the board would prefer to see a dumpster on the property, we could consider that, and I'll bring that up with them. But again, so is a dumpster necessarily a better solution for a retail center if people are adding to it in the summer months with foodstuffs? I don't know that that's a better solution, but if that's something the board would prefer us to do, we'll certainly discuss it and advise.
Thank you.
Why don't you discuss that with your client? Because it's an idea that we would like.
Is it, okay, but I understood, obviously, that we will lose likely 2 spaces as a result, which I just want to put that on the record, that that's...
All right, we'll discuss it.
We'll talk about it.
We'll discuss it. All right. Anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you. Have a nice
Second.
day.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Stephanie, you need a break? Okay. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, folks, before we hear the next case, so that the court reporter can exercise her limbs.
Somebody's going down. It's not gonna be me. Oh, you're kidding. I was asking why there's no air conditioning. It's like, yeah, I know. But it's like 10 degrees warmer in here than out there. Yeah, and it's controlled in Georgia, right? Or something like that? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. You're tripping it. You s- Oh, you're kidding. Oh, that's great. I just saw Wendy. I just saw her recently. She was actually going to come out for the case. What was it? Now I can't remember what case I had in Montauk, or in Seaford rather. Anyway, she was going to come out and support us, but she couldn't make it. But yeah, she's great. She's still something else. Yeah, it's a great facility. It really is. It's. I know it's expensive, but it's well worth it. Yeah, it's right. It's not just drop your kid off and we'll make sure they don't hurt themselves. It is a true educational program. Yeah. sixth leading Goddard School in the country, and it was, I mean, her standards are super high, even for Goddard School. It's incredible. It's top notch. Yeah. And I love her. She's a wonderful person. I keep telling her, I said, when are you going to have another application so we can work together again? She's like, I'm looking. But she has such shell shock from, everything associated with this one. Mainly the construction side of it and the fire marshal's office. They did not have, no, not at all. They did not have, they used a couple of guys to build it who were cheap, but built high quality, but cheap, but they didn't have the relationships with the fire marshal's office. They didn't know who to use. I got Pavone involved because they said, you got to step in and help out on this, because they're not going to let him open. He eventually jumped in and, yeah. Yeah. What's that address? Yeah, I'm just wondering what the address is. Because I'm doing work for Cohen, but not there. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I can't do that. Put that next to a freaking daycare center. Yeah, the dust and noise that'll generate. For God's sakes. That's crazy. Have the kids choking in the backyard. Yes. Yes, she is. I can vouch for that. used to be medical offices. He should have been, yeah, he should have been contacting all the tenants there to come over there. Yeah, that's just it. I don't believe you. Yeah, no. Believe me, you don't want this weird.
Next, we have case 24825, near Garden City, 975 Stewart LLC. Variances in off-street parking with insufficient backup space and stall size. Construct addition to existing building for proposed veterinary clinic, also known as 975 Stewart Avenue.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. William Benesso for Chelly Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, here on behalf of the applicant, 975 Stewart LLC. The applicant is the ownership entity of the building known as 975 Stewart Avenue, on the north side of Stewart Avenue near Garden City, but in the town of Hempstead. With me this afternoon is Mr. Wayne Muller, our transportation engineer, who has appeared before this board on many, many occasions as a traffic and parking expert and been permitted to give opinion testimony in those areas. We also have Mr. Christopher Bisogno from R&M Engineering as well, in case the board has any questions regarding the site plan. The property in question is an existing site improved with a one-story building and parking in the front and rear. The building has been used as a medical office building for years. It changed ownership recently and is now owned by the applicant. And the applicant is proposing to perform interior alterations and some exterior modifications in order to introduce a pretty large-scale general veterinary practice to the facility, providing both wellness care and emergency services. The principle behind the project is Dr. Marino. Dr. Marino is a certified veterinarian, and he actually has a specialty in caring for and providing services for law enforcement dogs, canine corps dogs. He's a former first responder at 9/11. He presently works with, he's a certified veterinary police surgeon for the Nassau PD, Nassau Sheriff, Suffolk PD, Suffolk Sheriff, the MTA, Port Authority, the ATF, the FBI, and a number of other federal and state and local entities that use canines for police purposes. And as a result, he has developed a very significant practice, and that will be a portion of this practice. He will basically run a veterinary office and hospital. It'll be a 24-hour operation in the event of emergency care needed, especially for those types of dogs. The services will be about 65% for dogs and about 25% for cats, and then the remaining 10% is birds and reptiles. But the gist of the activity will be dogs. He intends to make some significant modifications to the building, and it is a permitted use in the district. This is a industrial and commercial area surrounded by all industrial and commercial uses. There's no residential anywhere nearby. It is a permitted use in the district, and since he's not doing doggy daycare or boarding, there's no special exception required for that. What is required, however, is based upon the modifications being made, there is a small parking variance that is required, 9 spaces in fact, and there are some spaces that do not have the necessary backup and stall size. So that's the relief being requested, and Mr. Muller will speak to that in a moment. But I would point out that this site back in 2022 received relief from the board, and at that time it was under different ownership, and it was a medical office building, and it was proposing to add a two-story addition, a second and third floor with parking underneath, and it was approved for a 52-space parking variance by this board based upon the testimony and evidence that a 52-space shortage. Now we have a 9-space shortage. So there is precedent for granting parking relief for this site.
Besides the interior alterations, what is the addition otherwise? Is it that front area, or?
Yeah, Chris, do you want to just point
Is
that
it
out?
just that front area?
Yeah.
Chris Pizzagno, R&M Engineering, 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York.
Why don't you point out the exterior modifications that are being made?
Sure, there's going to be a very small addition to the building, which is only about 120 square feet. It's just a small vestibule,
Okay,
just to clean up the front edge a little
Okay.
bit, the front doors.
the rest of my questions are about parking.
If you happen to see the site plan, you'll notice that there is one other modification being made, and that is to actually open the building up in the middle. They are cutting out a 30 by 44 foot area, 1,320 square feet, as an open atrium in the middle of the building. In there, they will have turf with drainage, and it'll be used for two purposes. It'll be used to exercise the dogs after surgery and to see how they're walking, and I asked why they do that. He said because dogs don't walk naturally on linoleum or on hardwood or anything like that. You want to see them on turf. So this area, they can walk the dogs around and see how their gait is. And the other reason is they will take them out there to get rid of their necessities. It will be hooked up to drains going into the sewer system for liquid waste, and any solid waste will be picked up and disposed of and picked up by private carting from the dogs. But that is going to be added in the middle of the building. It'll be open air, and that is, like I said, it serves those two purposes. This will also be a teaching hospital. There will be veterinary students here, which if you look at the floor plans, you'll see the examination rooms are a little bit on the large side. It's because they expect to have students there learning from a master like Dr. Marino. And by the way, Dr. Marino's not here today because he is actually deployed. He's in the reserves and he's deployed overseas and providing services, but that's why he's not here today. But he's really an expert in his field, and this is going to be a facility that is actually going to be probably going to have a regular police presence there, he told me, so it's good for security. They will, in addition to that, they'll have all video cameras and 24-hour service. As indicated, it's a 24-hour operation. They'll have 3 shifts of staffing, probably about 40 to 50 people during the day. Later on in the evening, about 30 people, and then overnight, 10 to 20 people, depending on the need and for emergency services. But it's a very good use for the site. He's going to operate at just a top-notch facility, and we think the use is a nice addition. And it just so happens, having talked to several of the surrounding business owners asking about it, they were only too happy that the ownership changed. They didn't like the prior owner, so they're very happy with what's coming in. So
Does he have another facility?
he has, but he's disassociating himself with that one and is coming in here to create this one for himself.
And what veterinary school is he affiliated with?
Honestly, I don't know.
I was going to ask this.
I could find that out for the board.
Mr. Muller, I just want you to focus on the backup and the size. I think it looks like almost every stall is under the 18, but I hope they're at least wide enough and the backup is not too deficient, because that just causes problems. But in your testimony.
Yeah. That's my overview for the board. Unless you have any questions, I'll turn it over to Mr. Muller to address the small parking variance and the parking space sizes. For the record, Wayne Muller, R&M Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York. I'd like to submit copies of an analysis that we prepared that was made part of the record, dated April 14th, 2025. And just briefly, I mean, essentially this project consists of a conversion of an existing building from what was previously human medical office to pet animal office. As indicated in our report, utilizing the Institute of Transportation Engineers parking generation statistics, there'll be more than ample parking provided on the property to satisfy the demand associated with the veterinary use. In addition, as indicated in my report, that there'll be a slight reduction in traffic due to the fact that this is a veterinary use as compared to a traditional medical office use. In regard to the parking stall sizes, Mr. Bisogno from my office will talk about the sizes of the stalls and where they're located in the lots.
So the parking in the rear of the lot hasn't changed. It's going to be the same as exists today. The parking deficiencies, as you had noted, 16.5-foot stalls are being proposed. They so all of the 16.5-foot stalls, you'll see they have a 1.5-foot overhang to make them the full depth 18-foot stalls. The interior ones, I'm sorry? It's just the typical way of dimensioning them. You show the 16.5-foot of paving, and then there's a 1.5-foot dashed in line to show that it does extend it to 18 feet. 16.5. Correct. So their backup stall should be 24 feet per code, but we're seeking a 23-foot backup stall on the two end aisles, correct? And then in the interior, they're 24, which is per code. However, those stalls are going to be 17 feet. Correct. So yes, they are all 9 feet wide. As we had mentioned, there's going to be anywhere from 50 to 60 employees, so most of them will be parked in this back area, which typically they'll come in for their shift, they'll be parked all day, and it'll minimize the amount of ins and outs.
To clarify, the 50 or 60 will not be there simultaneously.
No, there will be, during the day, during the early shift, there'll be 50 to 60 employees there at the same time.
I thought you said earlier 30 at one, 20 at another, and then 10 overnight.
No, 50 to 60 in the daytime. Hold on, the shifts are basically from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 40 to 50 people, excuse me, not 50 to 60. From 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., 20 to 25 people, and from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 20 people. And in addition to that, there'll be patients, but we still, with that even, we still have 137 parking spaces, so it should adequately accommodate the needs of the site. Certainly, most of the patients, if you will come in through the front of the building. There's the parking in the front, that'll be mainly for patients. The employees will all park in the rear.
Yeah, just to extend on the dimensions of the rear lot, we didn't think we should take any parking away. So due to the dimensions of the lot across, this is how it's laid out. Yeah, the front is also the 16.5-foot stalls with the 1.5-foot overhang to make them the full depth 18 feet. They have the 24-foot backup aisle, and they're all 9 feet wide, except for the ADA stalls, which are typically 8 foot with an 8-foot no parking.
So for all intents and purposes, as much as they're deemed non-compliant, they are compliant when you factor in the 1.5-foot overhangs. Correct.
Yeah, the backup space in the front is all compliant, and like we said, it's only deficient by the 1 foot in the rear.
If the board has no questions of Mr. Pisonio or Mr. Muller. That's our direct presentation. Nassau County Planning Commission recommended local determination.
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on decision calendar. Mr. Vanessa, Mr. Mueller, and everyone else who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 11025, Baldwin, Alberto, and Anna Condoleo. Variance lot area, maintained two-family dwelling, also known as 2291 Harrison Avenue.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members. Christian Brown, 1122 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, appearing for the applicant.
Good afternoon, my name is Alberto Condoleo, 21 Telford Road, East Rockaway, New York.
All right, good afternoon. We're here seeking an area variance to legalize an existing two-family home located at 2291 Harrison Avenue in Baldwin. Mr. Condoleo, sitting here to my right, is the owner of the home. He's owned the home since 2000. He has done very limited amount of work to the property since he's owned it. It's more or less in the same condition in which he bought it. It was a two-family house at the time that he purchased it. And according to the Nassau County property card, it has been a two-family home since at least 1964. It appears the house itself was built in 1923. I've gotten pretty good over the years at reading these property cards, thanks to Miss First, who agrees with me. It was built in 1923. It was remodeled in 1964. I'll hand up the card in a minute. And according to the notations, from 1964, it was a two-family at that time. Now, the house is located in the business district. The lot is split zoned. The front portion of the lot towards Harrison Avenue is in the business zone, and the rear portion of the lot is in the Residence C district. And if you have any questions about the zoning, there is a discrepancy on the map. The map lists the rear of the property as Residence B, but I consulted with the building department when I got here, and I've determined that Residence C is the correct zoning, so the plot plan is accurate. It's not a use. The use is permitted. The use is permitted. It's not on 12,000 square feet. So the lot is 50 feet wide and slightly irregular, but at its deepest point, it's 190 feet deep. It does not go through to the other street, however. It dead ends in the back, and it is a total of 9,425 square feet. He does not live there. He has not lived there in many years.
Yeah, I used to live there when we bought the house.
There is a basement. It's semi-finished. It's been untouched since Mr. Condoleo has owned the house. The tenant on the first floor has the right to use the basement. There's no bathroom in the basement. If you'd like him to put that on the record, he'd be happy to do so. And then there's an upstairs apartment, as you can see. For many years, the house was utilized by the family. His mother, Mr. Condoleo's mother-in-law, and his son were the tenants, essentially, but his mother-in-law passed away recently, and the son has moved out, so he voluntarily started this process. Wasn't the result of complaints. It was his understanding that he had a mother-daughter use, and he wanted to have a legal two-family, but it turns out, to his good fortune, which is rare in the town zoning scheme, his property actually, the use is permitted because, as I said, in either residency or the business district, you're allowed to have a two-family house. It's just that he's slightly deficient in the lot size, but again, this is, if it has not always been a two-family back to the 20s, it has at least been a two-family back to the 60s. It's in a mixed-use kind of area. As you can see, it's just south of Sunrise Highway. There is a residence, one to the north, which I believe that Mr. Condoleo also happens to own. And then you have commercial and uses across the street and to the north, and there's an electrical substation as well, just one parcel beyond the house to the north. So it's of a bit of a mixed character. If you look in the back, you'll see it's very ample driveway and parking area for the tenants. There's a large garage in the back that is used by the Condoleo family just for storage of personal items. And the tenants park in the back. There are 2 tenants in there now. I believe it's a couple, correct, in each unit, no children, and not aware of any complaints from any neighbors. No. No, it was just used that way. But there have been permits issued over the years on the property. I think it was just, I don't know if it was somebody considered it grandfathered in, so to speak, or they weren't too strict because it fit the use and it had been there for so long. But again, the only deficiency here is in the 12,000 square foot requirement. There's no other changes proposed to the house or the property. He's just looking to clean up this situation and have it legalized for the benefit of his family going forward.
What is in the garage? Heat, plumbing,
No,
electric?
yes.
But that's just for a light, correct?
Right, it's just a light.
Okay, thank you.
And as you can see, the garage is quite old. It's on the old property cards as well, so it's been there for a long time. It looks like at one time there may have been, business uses there on both this lot and the neighboring lot. They both have these large sort of commercial-looking garages. So again, nothing else is proposed. It's just to legalize get a variance for the deficiency in lot area.
Any other questions from the board?
Are there any other 2 families in the area?
That I'm not sure of. I asked Mr. Condoleo if he was aware of any of that. Do you think
Yes.
the house to the south
I
is?
believe it is the house next door to me it is, and then I know down the block, when you get to Merck Road where the police station is, it's a 2 house, probably they put about 20, 25 years ago. Those houses are 100% 2 families. But I think it's some other than the block I didn't look for.
If you look on the radius map, you'll see that the business zone extends pretty far down south below Sunrise Highway. It goes down 2 more lots to the south, and then it becomes Residence C. So 2 families would be allowed as a use down towards Merrick Road. And across the street is also mixed zoning and mixed uses. There are commercial and residential uses across the street. Oh, I'll hand up the property card for the record so you have that.
We'll accept that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the board? If not, the motion.
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Brown, you and your client will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you, have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Any opposed?
Okay, have a good night.
right, let's do decisions for the cases that we heard this afternoon. Cases 239 and 240 of 2025, Lido Beach, David Adelsberg, variance rear yard, maintained deck attached to dwelling. Install pool and pool equipment not permitted in the side yard, install 6-foot-high fence larger than pool installation area and forward of the dwelling which may substantially obstruct the line of sight.
I'll go look at it.
Okay, so we're gonna hold that. All right, next case is 241 to 243 of 2025, Wantor. William H. James, special exception to maintain a shed exceeding horizontal maximum and with more than required side yard and rear yard setbacks. Remove and replace 4-foot-high fence located in the clear sight triangle. Maintain a 4-foot-high fence located in the clear sight triangle at the owner's driveway. Somebody going to inspect that? You wanted to clear 8 feet?
Excuse me?
Thought you wanted to clear 8 feet from the corner?
Yes,
The
the
shrubs?
normal clear site triangle, 8 foot on Leanne Terrace and Wantor Avenue.
Right.
The northern exit of Leanne Terrace. And that we have them put the fence 4 foot, remove and replace on the dirt, on the grass.
Not on top of
Not on
that.
top of the, okay.
Not on top of the,
We have a second on that motion? All in favor? Right.
should it be 5 years or leave it alone?
Pardon?
It's a clear site, right?
Yep.
Okay, good point. Thank you very much.
Next case, 244 of 2025, fence conditions, temporary. 244 of 25, Baldwin, Centro Biblico Casa de Restauración, Inc. Variances, side yard, rear yard, construct 2-story addition to building a portion of which is in a Res B district. Special exception to construct an addition for classrooms in conjunction with existing religious and educational use. Variance in off-street parking. Property address is 2880 Grand Avenue. Any comments? Hours? We had hours, right? Wednesdays?
I mean, I think under our loop, the request is reasonable. We need a sequel.
Okay, anybody gonna make a sequel?
Go for it.
Is there any? Go ahead, Joanne.
2880 Grand Avenue in Baldwin, be granted as requested.
Well,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
gotta make a sequel.
No, I have to do that first. Hold on.
Yep.
Where is it? Okay. With respect to, again, 24425, location of property 2880 Grand Avenue in Baldwin, I move that we adopt a negative declaration as to the CEQA determination based on the testimony given, exhibits in the file, and other materials we have reviewed and analyzed.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed?
And then with respect to 244 of 2025, location of property 2880 Grand Avenue in Baldwin, I move that we grant this.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Cases 245 and 246 of 2025. We heard the case. We're going to hold that decision, awaiting the NCPC recommendation.
Christine,
And we'll,
I want to make sure.
we'll talk about a dumpster.
Can we make a note that the lease number?
Sure.
That they have to put in the
Forgetting
leases.
about even all the complaints with the community, with the garbage, I agree, we need a dumpster, but I think that the whole project, I agree, it's either too big or something else should be there, having the wall of the strip mall up against the street. That was
I
it.
think they
The
should
residents.
cut 4 feet off the end too, so put a dumpster in there.
Yeah.
Because I know they're gonna put that trash out.
But, you know, also maybe, are they required to have,
Maybe
as far as
it
garbage, maybe get a private sanitation there?
Well, that's what, she's gonna make some notes
You know,
now while we hold it.
That's tacky because they are paying for sanitation.
But I just.
And their
But they need no-
taxes.
But they need a legitimate place to store the
I
garbage.
agree, because I don't see them keeping a deli debris for 3 days inside, in the middle of summer.
Yeah, you have rats.
Agreed. So I think that the best case scenario, I can't see them putting a dumpster in the front yard, but if they were to shorten the building by 4 feet or something, they could put a dumpster on this end of
Well,
one.
but
Now,
the dumpster, but
And the
dumpster
rats will
won't
go to
fit
the
with
end
4
of the
feet.
building.
well, I'm just gonna say, and then who knows, whatever side they put it on, that neighbor's gonna be
It's gonna
unhappy.
stink like hell. We don't do anything right now because we're not deciding the case. How's that?
Just make those notes.
Case,
Yeah, that's granted this request. The other ones were granted 10.
Case 247 of 2025 East Meadow, Jewish Heritage Center of Queens and Long Island. That case has been adjourned to July 2nd at 2 p.m. Case 248 of 2025 near Garden City, 975 Stewart Avenue LLC. Variances in off-street parking with insufficient backup space. Installed size, construct an addition to existing building for proposed veterinary clinic. We will need, property address is 975 Stewart Avenue. We need a secret determination on this case. Who would like to make that secret determination?
I could do it.
Go right ahead.
248 Garden City, 975 Stewart Avenue, LLC. I move that we adopt a negative secret declaration as to the testimony given, exhibits in the file, and other material we have reviewed and analyzed. That-
All in favor? Any opposed? Second.
Aye.
Second for DeGrace.
Further, file number 248 of Garden City, 975 Stewart Avenue, LLC. Variance is in off-street parking with insufficient backup space, install space, construct addition to existing building for a veterinary clinic be granted as requested.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Case 110 of 2025, Baldwin, Alberto and Anna Condolio, variance lot area. Maintain a two-family dwelling. Property address is 2291 Harrison Avenue. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion? Go right ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
They were trying to say that they've been using it, and the county records showed it as a two-family. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So if he's been using it as a two-family all this time, why did he come in now to legalize it? Because
Said he did it on his own.
he's probably trying to sell it.
I would think that's
So,
gonna be a,
so my point
It's
is,
not going to have a real good time selling it with two tenants in it.
so why are we obligated to give him, isn't a two-family house a big reach when it's not?
No,
Not in
we're-
a C
not in a C district.
Oh, in the C, that's what
permitted.
I'm asking. That's
It's
what I'm
permitted.
asking. So in other words, since part of his house is in the C district, it's
the other
okay.
part's in business, I think.
Yeah.
So even, what about if it's in business? What is?
So business
Same.
is treated like C for this.
Okay, so in other words, he sort of has this by right, because it's in a business.
Kind of, but
Kind of.
It's an area variance, not a use variance.
Oh, I
They're
got it.
Of course, he
short
needs-
about 2,000 square
it's,
feet.
a two-family's allowed in business and
12.
Res C, treated the same, if they have 12,000 square feet.
Oh, so in other words, he needs the variance for the
So the use
3,000
itself
feet.
is acceptable there, but he's lacking
So he
300.
needs the 3,000. Oh, I didn't
Making
understand.
Oh, yeah, you
decisions, I'll
wouldn't
call
if you
you
never
right
heard.
after.
That's why I'm asking, so next time I will, you know?
Of course.
You know.
That's why
Like it's, we don't see it every day.
Res C is,
Rarity.
yeah.
Redevelopment.
No, it is. Why do you say it like that?
All right, all right, the mic's back on. All right, last case on the menu, 134 of 2025.
110, are we reserve or
No, let's
decision?
Let's somebody make a motion. 110 of 2025.
Mr. Chairman, that case 110 of 2025, affecting the property at 2291 Harrison Avenue in Baldwin, be granted as requested.
Second,
Well,
Two
what
family
conditions?
conditions.
It's,
Family owner occupied,
it's not owner occupied.
it's not owner occupied.
but it's not a legal two-family at this point. It's just being operated as a two-family. On sale or transfer has to be owner occupied.
Okay, upon sale or transfer, owner occupied.
That'll be a covenant that no one will read.
Exactly.
I got one, that I told Joanne about a covenant, but, all right, let's go on. Case 134 of 2025, 255 Hempstead, Inc. Variance in off-street parking, construct two-story and second-story additions to existing building, medical offices, property address is 255 Hempstead Avenue. That has been adjourned to June 25th at 2 p.m. That concludes the calendar.
Just, I also want to just clarify that 110 is temporary, correct? It's temporary with conditions,
Yes.
just making sure.
Okay.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to close? Oh, sorry.
So first on this morning's calendar, this morning's calendar is 2/28/25. That was the 15-foot high living fence.
Yeah.
Neighbor there called up, she found out about it here this morning from another neighbor. She was opposed to it. She claimed she never got the mailing notice.
Good
Why
for
is she
her.
opposed to
She
it?
got the mailing notice. She said she doesn't like,
We're going green.
she wanted to submit stuff in her opposition, but I got back to her because I was trying to find this out.
Hearing's closed.
I mean, you can submit something and be marked received after close of public hearing.
So, next.
Mr. Mayo. So we did get this letter asking to, be notified if you guys are going to visit the property.
Who's this?
That's the one that
Oh, wait a minute. Is this the guy who previously said that we weren't allowed on the property?
yes, so that he,
So now,
letter
oh,
says he wants to be notified that we were going. I spoke to Sal, had a discussion with him. He now is pulling his
Sal?
letter.
Wait, he's pulling his letter, so we're not allowed.
No, you are.
no, no, no. You don't, and you don't, and we don't.
I'm not walking on that property.
3 feet too high. They didn't reference any other properties in the area that allegedly exceeded the height. Do you want to make a motion, or do you want to hold it?
And then I would also like to just make one other statement, that subsequent to the hearing, the inspection reports were forwarded to the office. It seems as though all of the inspections were done prior to COVID. There was just one report that was dated February 26, 2020, so before as well.
Only a month
So-
before.
But
So,
I
so
just
the,
wanted to
so the fact
They
is,
were
is that,
received.
is that the, house is 3 feet, how high is the house
3
now?
feet higher than
Three-
it should
So
be.
how does the board feel? I mean, we confirm that it is 3, you know.
I don't see how we can grant that.
Okay, so I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
Where's the, where's?
It's case 197 of 25, page 2 of the reserve, second case.
Everyone's gonna just think I can build it, and they will
Yep,
come.
they will come.
I build it.
I
and
make a
see what will
motion, case number 197 of 25, Woodmere, David Rabinowitz and Lauren Katz, variances, height, rear yard setback, maintain second-story addition, variance side yard setback, maintain 5 AC units to the dwelling, be denied.
Well, you want to approve it in part with respect to the AC units?
Be denied in respect to the height variance,
And granted for the
granted in part
balance.
for the 5 AC units. What about the rest?
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Any opposed? That concludes the calendar. Now, let's talk for 2 minutes about the practical effects of that
Can I just ask
denial.
one thing? Hold on. So this is variance for height, rear yard setback, and maintain second-story dwelling. Is the second-story dwelling, what is the height? Because then I
Yep.
don't know.
Story addition to dwelling.
So do we need to deny the second-story addition also? No, I just mean,
I don't necessarily, well, because it seems like it was as of right except for the height.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
the height was the only gripe.
You'll have to say the second-story addition to the extent it violates the height, or something like that.
Doesn't violate the height.
No,
Now,
no.
all right, let's talk about the practical effect of that denial. Tell me what happens now. They don't get a CO, right? They don't get a CO,
Right.
and they're living in the home, they got a couple of kids,
Can they
and,
get insurance?
and the doggies will not go out there